Every time I get out, they wanna pull me back in. The street life is death and I choose to live. I done made my choice, homie, the game is over. I choose Jesus Christ, now I'm a church boy soldier. Every time I get out, they wanna pull me back in. The street life is death and I choose to live. I done made my choice, homie, the game is over. I choose Jesus Christ, now I'm a church boy soldier.
Live today, I want to welcome everyone to Faith, Family, and Fiasco. A little bit more. My name is William.
I'm Katie.
Renzo, what up, what up?
And these are my family members. And what we're going to do is our title of the podcast today is called The Nuclear Family. No, because we're going to have some. So what we're going to
did pray, by the way.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the family from a biblical aspect. Mm-hmm. Our text is coming from Ephesians 5, verse 21-32. We encourage everybody that's out there listening, that's out there, look at that text, because I think that is God's design for a great, awesome, godly family. But before we start, I want to just kind of say something a little funny, a little joke or something I kind of found funny. So the joke goes like this. The family was sitting down for dinner. The son asked his father, are bugs good to eat? The father said, let's not talk about such things at dinner. So after dinner, the father said, now son, what did you want to ask me? Son says, oh, nothing. Son says, there was a bug in your soup, but now it's gone, so I don't have the question anymore. So, but it's a little funny, something we like to get started with. But
You should listen. Let the little kids talk, man. Jesus let the little kids come.
Yep. So for the little kids.
Yeah.
So
Let him talk.
on the nuclear family, what we're going to talk about is families of today. How can it reflect the biblical aspect of it? One, I want to start off with some stats. One of the stats I looked up is that 19.4 million children live in homes without fathers. So let's put that in perspective. In perspective, that would be 4 times the size of LA and 4.5 times the size of New York. So a population. So that's how many children are born or that lives in just in the United States alone. This is not, just the world, just the United States, that lives in a house without a father. One stat is living in a home without a father, the child is 4 times greater a risk of poverty or risk of becoming poor. And we'll delve into that a little bit, but I just want to read these stats. They're 2 times greater risk of infant mortality. I didn't know that.
Wow.
I didn't. I'm like, infant mortality? How is that? But
probably because there's one less set of eyes on them.
Exactly. Probably. I didn't think of that. So, I mean, this is from a mom's point of view, but I'm like, infant mortality. They're more likely to go to prison. They're more likely to commit a crime. And this is what really I kind of knew, but didn't know it was this much. Children that lives in a family without a father are 7 times, especially young ladies, are 7 times more likely to become pregnant as a teen. Not as they get older, but as a teen. They're more likely to face abuse and neglect from their significant partner. So it's a broad range of what could happen without fathers in the house. Also, they're more likely to abuse drugs, alcohol, or more likely to sell drugs.
There's such a big wound there.
Exactly.
Such a father-sized wound.
Yep. So the other thing is they're 2 times more likely to suffer obesity. I'm like, oh, okay, obesity, people love to eat.
Yeah.
But I can see how that can happen because a lot of people eat to kind of put down pain a little bit.
Oh yeah,
You
definitely.
know, overeating.
The endorphins from
Exactly.
eating. Yeah.
And the most thing it really hits my heart is they're 2 times more likely to drop out of school. So, and you can imagine living in a home with a father. Of course, a lot of these things are reversed, but that's what we're going to talk more about. That if is there a father in the house, then how should the father be leaving? But let's go ahead and hit on the fathers out of the house. So, my question to us here at the table: how did it get to this?
How do you get to what? To the fathers not being in the home?
Yeah.
I mean, it all depends. I mean, if you want to really go there, it all depends on the culture.
That's true.
And to me, it depends on culture when it comes to the father being in the home and what's being taught in that culture, how the male is to treat the woman. You know what I mean? All that plays a factor in whether the man is in the house or not. And then the way that, you know what I'm saying, it's the way that the woman is taught to respect or not respect her.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And things, a lot of things, roles have flipped, where you see the woman doing the things that the man should be doing. Yeah, so I mean, all that play a factor in how we got to where we are.
And I would take it, all the way back to the garden, when sin entered the world. And so, you can see it in the grand scope of things, or like Lorenzo was saying, talking about, bringing it to more local, or what's going on in this, for instance, our government incentivizes single parents.
Exactly.
And there's a lineage of broken homes and generational curses that that trickle down, and where was the last man in that genealogy that was leading the household? And so it becomes this curse, well, my daddy left me, and then well, I'm going to leave my family because I never knew, I'm scared now to be a father because I didn't know what having a male role model looked like.
Right.
So how am I supposed to do this?
Right. One thing I always think of, I always equate stuff like this to real life. Let's go ahead and look at it in balance. The past was in the 1920s. Actually, let's go back before then. And when the Emancipation Proclamation happened, Lincoln passed the Emancipation Proclamation bill and basically freed the slaves. Okay, when that happened, African American wealth extraordinary grew quicker and faster than anywhere that was reported in any continent or country in the United States.
That's neat.
So what that did is it provided a way to help them out of slavery, but it provided a room for the head of the house, which was the male at the time, and the man. So back when slavery, I would say about 90-95% of African American homes, or even homes period, had fathers in them. So what happened is the plight of America grew, the wealth of America grew, and a lot of things were prosperous. So of course, when things are prosperous and things are doing good, America grows, the family grows.
Okay.
So then what happened is America hit hard times in the Depression, but if you look at statistics in the Depression, which I did, it didn't hit African Americans as hard as it hit white America or other Americans, because we were more self-sufficient and we knew how to survive in tough times, because we went through slavery, went through a lot of other things. But the thing is that it didn't hit as hard. So they came up with this thing called welfare. Or we're gonna help the average man get back on their feet. The government. The government's gonna help the average man get back on their feet. So what happened is they actually started welfare, and when they rolled it out, the enrollment of welfare was so little to none, meaning that people didn't want to sign up for it. So what they did is they do what the church did. They went door knocking.
Who
Oh.
went door
The
knocking?
government.
Government went door knocking to
Went
get
door
people to
knocking.
sign up for welfare?
Yes,
Wow.
and guess what areas they focused on?
The black
The,
communities.
the black communities.
Mhm.
I mean, you focus on a community that needs more help, right? So,
You think so?
so that wasn't the community. So them communities didn't need help. Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean a lot of communities got help through welfare. I'm not saying that welfare was a bad thing.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is that it was designed for a short period of time.
Gotcha.
Okay. So that's what welfare. So what happened is that as you give anything free
Mm-hmm.
and you stop,
Mm-hmm.
then you develop what I call free addicts.
Mm.
You know,
Okay.
instead of crack addicts, free
Yes.
addicts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's almost like weaning them off. So
Mhm.
they developed a whole bunch of free addicts.
Mhm.
Now don't get me wrong. My mom was on welfare.
Mhm.
We grew up on food stamps,
Right.
and it was there for a time to help us.
Yeah.
But was it there to actually keep us or just keep us to the point where we're reliant on, guess what?
The government.
Exactly.
Because what I'm hearing is welfare was made with a good intention to help people out of a hard time, and so if people are in a sense entitled in the U.S. to welfare for a certain period of time, but they should graduate out of it because they overcome whatever hardship they're going through that they needed to rely on the government for a short period of time.
Exactly.
And people don't use it like that, like a stepping stone anymore.
Right. So what happened is that they went door knocking,
Mhm.
and a lot of the African American communities and a lot of people turned it down.
Mm.
So as men went out and worked,
Mm-hmm.
actual men, we went out and worked.
Yeah.
We worked our 9 to 5 or our 12-hour shifts. Well, they got secretly smart. They sent the door knockers now through the at those times when we're at work to talk to the mom or the person that is in charge of, which is the woman at the time, because the man's out working.
Right.
So the government kind of smooths their way in and say, listen, why work when you can take your when you can get free welfare from the government? Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what I've learned and this is what I've heard, and you know, but they said, why don't you do this? But guess what? You have a man that's making wages. He can't be in the house while you receive the welfare.
Wow.
Oh, that was a thing, and I mean, it's still kind of a thing.
It is still a thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because most of the time the female was getting the welfare to help out with, because the man left and wasn't helping.
Right.
They're doing it more with the housing though.
Exactly.
And with the housing, they're starting to let people put the man on there.
Right.
First they were saying no felons, but now they're starting to let even felons be in there as long as they're on the lease. Or in some of the cases they just be like, don't be telling us.
Right. You keep it under the table.
Don't tell us.
We gonna keep this under the table.
That sounds official. Really official.
They're like, we're gonna tell you when inspection is coming.
Right.
We don't want to see them.
Right. So they would come and actually, I don't know if you ever seen this movie, and I love this movie to death. It's called Claudine.
Never seen it.
It's a movie in the 70s. It's with James Earl Jones, and I think it's Diane Carroll. I'm not sure, but I'll look more into that. But it was about she had 10 kids, or she had quite a bit of kids.
Okay.
And she was on welfare. Well, she couldn't have a husband. She couldn't have even a boyfriend, because if there was a man in the house, then her benefits would drop.
Okay.
So it was part of the movie that the welfare lady is coming to knock on the door, and James Earl Jones is at her house, so she knocks on the door, and before she answers the door, it's this big ritual. She had to hide the toaster. She had to hide all the new things. She had to hide all this stuff, because if they feel that she's gotten too much, then they will cut back.
Okay.
So and I saw that as basically training the mind, her mind, to say, well, I can't have good things, even though I'm on welfare.
Right.
I can't even have a boyfriend. So she stuck him in the closet. So it's a great funny movie.
Basically, like selling a bill of rights.
Exactly. So what that comes down to is it pulled the father out of the house. house.
Mm-hmm. You could see that, yeah.
Now, there's some other aspects also that pull the father out of the house. And if you guys know of any or anything out there, just briefly comment in the comment section or just post something on there. But one of the things I want to focus on is because of a lot of situations that pull the father out of the house, plus it put the father in the streets, and now the father has to become streetwise, sell drugs, do what he got to do to survive, or what I call house jumping. He would jump from house to house to house to house. And then at that point, you are eliminating what God created in a man. The man is supposed to work, supposed to provide, and that you're eliminating now.
Your purpose.
Exactly. So because of that, it eliminated the father in the household, and the plight of the father. By the 70s and the 80s, it was dropping significant. I mean, to the point right now where today there are a lot of crime going on, a lot of drugs, and a lot of stuff that is happening in our communities today.
Even just post-pandemic.
Exactly.
All the I was sort of looking for the checks that people were receiving,
the stimulus.
The stimulus, and and then the fallout of that was, ultimately losing jobs.
Yeah, and it also does another thing too, because if you thought about fathers in the house, they will be more in tune to what's going on in the world. If you think about it, what's happening? Should we have gotten a stimulus? Shouldn't we have done all this? Or if there's an issue at home that is happening with the son at school or daughter at school, because a father can teach a lot of things. A father teaches leadership. I was watching some movie, I can't remember the name of the movie, and I should have wrote it down, but the father said to his son, he said, my job is not to love you, my job is to make you responsible, to make you a leader, to make you into your mom is responsible for showing you that love and showing you that compassion. My job is to teach you how to be a man. And I thought about that. I'm like, well, your job is to love him too.
Right.
But then I thought about saying, okay, well, yeah, his job is to have him be a father, have him teach the man respect, have him do all those type of things. So
I think love comes with responsibility too.
I think so
we
too.
have a responsibility to love one another.
Yep.
So
I mean, another question is we've tackled one of the reasons why, but how's it affecting the household today? So I think
I got distracted
you
by
got
that.
distracted.
What was the question?
We got comments.
Oh, we got comments?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got little comments on there, but we're gonna get to it. But one of the questions is how is it affecting our house and the world today of families without fathers in the house? I mean, one of the things I really pride myself on. One of the things I really try to instill in a lot of my grandsons and stuff is that being responsible is important.
So how's it affecting the household today?
Yeah, how's it affecting the household today? That's the question.
I do believe there's a gap in because we're Christians, right? And so as Christians, your guys' job as a father, you take your job differently than pose a non-believer's job as a father.
Right.
And so when a father is standing on certain values, and our values come from the Bible, you have a rock solid foundation that you can pass on to the generations. But there's this huge gap. I'm a millennial, and so there's this huge gap of faith, and men, if what I guess amongst my peer groups, I'm not seeing a lot of fathers raise, even if they are in the home, raise their family in the faith or in God's word, and it's, to me, that is a huge impact because what can happen. What, if it's not built on God's word, this house will crumble, right? And so ultimately, it leads to divorce, it leads to sin, it leads to things that destroy. And I think that's where our households are, today, are a lot of them without God.
Yeah. One of the things I want to just point out, and I'm glad you brought that, is because and our main text is Ephesians 5:21-32, and see, I'm not a millennium, I'm a little older because I got to wear these things. But in Ephesians 5:21, Bible says, submit to one another out of reverence to Christ. And then he goes on and he breaks it down a little bit in terms of roles. Now, I know when the world hears this big S word, submit. But if you go back to the beginning, we should be submitting to each other out of reverence for Christ. And it does say, wives, submit to your husband, submit yourselves to your own husband, I like that, own husband, as you do to the Lord. For the husband is head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. So, yeah, we do have that role. Wife has a role and the husband has a role. But the Bible does say we need to submit to each other.
I'm glad you brought that up, because Lorenzo made a point earlier too about the roles being reversed. We live in such a chaotic time, and I know times have always been chaotic, right? We have chaos. This is, the world is forever spinning into a greater amount of chaos, and I think that's the second law of thermodynamics, honestly. But anyways, so I've had to learn on my Christian walk here. I've been saved for, I don't know, maybe 5 years. How to be a wife. And how to be a wife that glorifies God. Not just how to be a wife, but to do it with intention, and how the Bible, says, what does that mean to submit?
Right.
And what does that look like? And so people hear that word and they're hypersensitive to it. But really, my husband, we had to get to this place where he was the head of the household, and there wasn't this power struggle anymore. And I mean, I'm still having to do that on a daily basis, is surrender myself to God to be in this place where we're not, power struggling, because I can absolutely testify that when I allow my husband to be an authority over our home, we have peace, we have order, things come so much more naturally in our household, and it's just, it's the proof of the fruit, and it's God's design, and that's and we're designed by God, so why wouldn't we just follow the design? And we've just come to see just the complete order that brings in our household. And Pastor Sim preached a message on, he asked the wives, are you, your husband can either have a king in him or a boy in him. So who are you fueling? Are you speaking to him like a little boy? Are you speaking to the king in him? And so as a wife, that's submitting to me, is lifting my husband up and allowing him to be free to have that sort of, to be, I don't know how to explain it, but just to really be the man of the household.
But you said,
the man of the household.
You said, is he going to have a boy? Is he a boy in him?
Yes.
Or has a king in him?
Right.
Now, I would say, and I would argue this, not to you or anything like this, but my argument would be, okay, is he trained to have a boy in him, or is he trained to be a king? See, and that goes back to the absence of fathers in the house when you're growing up. Now, my father did some things and went away for a long time. We're not going to go into that. Then my stepfather came in and was in and out quite a bit. But I did learn a little bit from him, but not much. But I had great men in my lives. I've been a Christian Okay, I gotta take out my calculator. Hold on.
You doing some math?
I gotta do some math.
Oh, he's really actually doing
I
that.
gotta do some math. Hold on. So I've been a Christian. Wow. What's that? 39, 40. Yeah, 39 years.
38 years.
38 years.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Good for you.
If whoever's out there, figure it out. You'll figure how old I am. But I've been a Christian for that long, but I just saw over those times of, missing out on Father. I had fatherly guys in my life that guide me to say, William, no, nope, that's a bad decision. Not just to say, okay, well, I'm gonna, come down on you or anything. Normally I did, but I always reflect to the guy I kind of looked at as a father when my first job was at Radio Shack. See, this is way before you guys.
I remember Radio Shack.
My first job.
Radio Shack. Wish they Radio Shack come back.
Right. My first job was at Radio Shack, and I had a manager, and I went because I saw that they were hiring. I went for an interview, and he said, "This is what I want you to come back and have on. I want you to have on a shirt. I want you to have a pair of pants, and I want you to have a tie on." And I interview you. So I went to the secondhand store and bought all those things. Came back, and he interviewed me. We talked, and he hired me. Now,
Awesome.
he was the person that kind of groomed me to, how to dress, how to speak. At the time, there was a computer called the Tandy 1000. That's years ago. Tandy 1000, but it cost $6,000.
Whoa,
yeah. Computers
wow.
was high back
$6,000.
Wow.
You know how many I sold since he was training me in just that, like 1 year's time span?
How many?
So he was selling at least once a week, and I started selling just by watching him and him training me. I would start selling one a month. Now we get commission plus spiffs off of that stuff, but I just by listening and watching him and listening to his advice, I think propelled me to the next level when I graduated from college to say that, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is what I need to act like. This is how I need to be. This is what's going on. So, and the funniest thing about it, he was not like me. He was an opposite person of my color. And we became great friends,
That's awesome.
But he just taught me the business side. He wasn't a Christian, but he just took me on his wings. He just probably saw this poor little boy, wants to make it in the world.
Went and bought a tie.
Came back with
bless him.
Came back with the fat tie. Yeah, the big old knot, so I'm gonna help him, and because a man like that stepped in and helped me,
That's very
and propelled me to not where I'm at now, but how I look. Because first people look at you. The first perception is how you dress. It's just the world, where they are. They don't look inside where the soul is at. They look how you look. So that's what he told me. He says, well, I don't care if you would have walked in a McDonald's or what have you, you want to dress for the job that you don't have, that you want in this particular stuff. And that's what he taught me. So, but I mean, I had different fathers figured throughout my, and I still do now today, that people I can go to and say, get some advice. And it's awesome that being in a church environment, you have those men and those people that they're not perfect. I'm not saying anybody's perfect, but that can put you on the right path. So the other question that I would have is, without fathers being in a house, how is it contributing to crime? How is it contributing to our society today? I mean, it's very important, because I think a lot of people misgrew that without fathers in the house, or with fathers in the house, I think we wouldn't have as much crime as we have now. I honestly
I'll
believe
go
that.
first.
Unless you have.
Because I know he has something probably longer to say than I do. I'll go first real quick. I just think, not having that authority role in your life has a lot to do with you learning, how to follow the rules or how to respect authority.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you don't have that authority role of the father, you don't get to learn that valuable lesson.
All right, Lorenzo, go ahead.
I mean, it plays a super big part with the father not being there, because for one, even though, okay, so you got three or four different types of fathers. You got the present father,
right?
You got the absent present,
Mm-hmm.
and you know what I'm saying. That's a father that's there but not involved in the kid's life. And then you got the present, which is there, and they're actually involved. And you know what I'm saying, they laying down the law and they doing what they supposed to do. Like even with me being there, sometimes I gotta check my kids. Like, don't talk to your mom like that.
Right.
So that's what the household is missing. If the father ain't there, there's that authority, and it's like I remember times when we would do something and we'd be like, oh, it don't matter, mom's gonna whoop us.
Right.
But no, it didn't happen like that. It was like, hold on, mom whooped us, and then the first time I seen that, I was like, hold up. She already whooped us. What is he whooping us for now? You know what I'm saying? So once you knew, you didn't want to get in trouble no more. So you like, mom whooped us, and then dad whooped us, and then she told grandpa, and grandpa whooped us. Like, hey man, so yeah, that male figure is very, very important.
Yeah.
And so with the way society is now, we got these, you know what I'm saying, men running around thinking it's cool to be a womanizer.
Right.
And it's all in the music. So many different things that influence them to think that bad is good. You know what I mean? I mean, I came up like that.
Yeah.
I thought bad was good.
That's crazy, because you talk about the music, and I will go even further to talk about how the music has changed.
Oh yeah.
From over the years to point where now you can't even listen to anything on the radio.
You don't want to
literally
listen to it because it's
literally you can't turn to a secular radio and say, okay, well, let me just listen to whatever. See what you can't. You just have to turn it off because you have the kids in there, and you're like, no, you know, you can't. And in the Motown era. Of course, they were singing about "I know you want to leave me,"
Yeah,
and all
it was
this
relationship stuff, but it wasn't so explicit.
Right.
I remember
But now,
on TV, you couldn't even you wouldn't dare see a booty cheek.
Right.
Anybody saying any cuss words. Now there's certain cuss words
that they can say
that are allowed to be said.
I
You're
remember
like,
growing up watching MTV. The thong song was on MTV. Cisco, and all those music videos were right on MTV. At my dispose, really quick.
So we're letting a lot of outside influences influence our livelihoods. So what do you have to do as a father, because fathers are not there, to recognize that and to block that out from the family, instead of saying, hey, son, daughter, it's dinner time, put that phone down, have dinner, or give time limits on the video game, and kind of go detail into what video games that they're playing.
That's exactly right. And my husband, he has that role in our household of like the limitations on the media and the video. That my kids, they have a handheld Nintendo DS, and so he's got all these codes on there. He knows what games are appropriate for their age, and I 100% trust him with all of that. And I enjoy that I don't have to have anything to really do with it, because it's not my realm of expertise at all. Like you guys are over here setting everything up, and I'm just sitting here. We should talk about this and that, and you guys are like, But, yeah, so absolutely, they're mothers and fathers alike. We have to set parameters around our home to ensure the purity of our children, to ensure that what's going in is what, you know, is feeding our children, because what we store up in our heart comes out of our mouth, and we want our children to be speaking life, speaking love,
Exactly.
and having that in their hearts.
And that's important. It's not to say that mom and dad is going to have a great, awesome, this perfect Brady Bunch type of relationship,
No.
or Pleasantville type
Right.
of, you know,
No.
relationship. But but it's how you handle those things in front of the children.
Yeah.
You know, and what it does, it just shields the children from a lot of decisions and stuff that's going on. But what it does, it helps the mother and father bond together, because now they can sit down and talk about, instead of screaming and yelling at each other. I always thought that when kids are there, you know, okay, we're not going to talk about this right now because the children are here, but then when the children go, so now we're going to sit down and talk about this instead of screaming and yelling in front of the kids and showing them what is out, what, you know, what they should be doing, and the kids sitting there eating, watching TV, and they listening to you,
Right.
Or listen to the husband curse out the mom, vice versa, all that. But what they got to do is just say, hey, we'll park this, we'll sit this aside. Now, it all depends, because a lot of people's attitudes are different.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, what comes with communication.
Yeah.
Communication and compromise, man. If you don't have communication in a relationship, then your trust, everything else that they say a relationship is supposed to have, it's gone.
Yeah.
If we can't communicate, we can't talk, we can't kick it, we can't say how we really feel, then it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, and that's what draw me to my wife, man. You know what I mean? Because I was one of them people, womanizer and whatnot, and I said when I found that one, I said I was gonna be cool. I was going, you know what I'm saying, not do all the stuff I was doing.
Right.
But the one thing that draw me to her was, you know, the mind is constantly thinking. Even though we sitting here listening to each other, we talking, there's something else on our mind.
Right.
It's literally it is.
Yeah, like the mind is constantly thinking. So I test people a lot. I used to. Well, I don't do it no more because I used to play mental games. So I don't play mental games with people no more.
Good to know.
but I used to ask people. I say, what you thinking about? You know, like I couldn't stand awkward silence. So if there was a gap right there and it got quiet, I would let it go for like 10, 15 seconds. And then I would say, what are you thinking about? If a person tells me no, I felt like I couldn't try. I mean, if they told me they was thinking about nothing, they told me they was thinking about nothing, I felt like I couldn't trust that person.
But your wife.
She was the first person to ever answer that question without saying nothing. You know what I'm saying? And it was like just like some random thing, like we're sitting on the porch and it got quiet. We not too long ago just met, and I said, "What you thinking about?" She said, "I didn't see that cat over there going." Like she's all like, I'm wondering where he about to go, what he about to do. I was like, oh wow. You know what I mean? Like, and so, but we was like, man, we was like friends before, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
We got serious, man. I think that plays a big part.
It does.
In the couples once they meet and whatnot. If they not friends, then when hard times come, they're not gonna know how to work through it. It's just gonna be like, screw you then, and then
that's true, because it's harder to leave a friend hanging.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
literally.
I mean, but you even if they do split, it's gonna be on good terms because they friends.
Yeah.
So a lot of these relationships, when things go south and the people can't work it out, it's either my way, and then that causes the dad to be gone, because society gives all the power to the woman when it comes to separation.
That's true.
And then I mean, the dad has to go and get an attorney to see his kid, but he's forced to pay child support. When you're paying child support, they should help you get visitation.
And that's a whole nother thing.
They want to help the situation.
That's a whole nother thing about taking the father out of the household, because of situations like that. A lot of fathers can't see their kids.
Can't see their kids paying child support. Then they say, I ain't paying child support.
Because they were withdrew from the relationship because of whatever happened. They didn't get along, or one was unfaithful to the other, whatever.
Right.
But he still wants to be in the family, part of his kid's life. But because of the courts, because of all this red tape, and because of what he has to go through to see them, it becomes exhausting and it becomes very expensive. Instead of just saying, hey, I want to see my children every other weekend. And
it's so divisive.
It is.
It's just like, it's very, it almost gets insidious, when you really think about it. And if the enemy is going to attack something, he's going to attack something valuable. Exactly. And he does it behind the scenes. He's extremely subtle. And we can see over the last decade or so the decline of respect for the man of the house, the respect or a decline of the, even on like, you see it on like TV shows, like, late night family TV shows, the mom is like this role of strength and, dignity, and she's running the show, and they portray the dad as like this dumb, guy that just goes to work and has nothing, to contribute but his paycheck.
Right.
And it's so sad. That is how, that's how we are being groomed in a sense. And I'm telling you, there's so much more freedom than that. We need to be lifting up the men of the household, because they are so vital. And right now, there's a lot of hate towards men.
So the future, we've talked about a little bit about past. We talked about the present, what's going on. What do you see the future? And let's look at it realistically. The future fathers. I mean, in the young generation now, think about it.
It's not cool right now. It's not cool.
I would say this. Okay, I would say this. If you are a certain level of maturity, okay, if you're a certain level of what I'm seeing so far with young people, I think they're going to change it. Honestly, I feel like the young people are going to change it. That's coming up now. I really feel that we keep talking about it, we keep expressing it. But if you are on the other aspect of things, of you're watching video games, you're watching these stupid videos and all this other stuff and all these things the world has to offer, you are going to be doomed to repeat that as what calls generational curse. So you are going to be doomed to repeat that, because the future now world wants fathers out of the house. Right. Matter of fact, if you look at what's happening in the world, they're taking away even masculinity. They're taking away they're taking away fathers. They're taking away being a man. And they actually are attacking women now. And I'm like, women never, women are hear me roar, all that, but they are now attacking that. It's saying, that there is no genders. Well, there's a man and there's a woman. God made man, God made woman. God made Adam and God made Eve. God did not make Adam and God did not make Steve. So, but the thing is that because Satan is so much trying to withdraw that and try to blur the lines between good and evil, because that's what it is. He's blurring the lines between good and evil, so now people are confused.
Roles are confused too.
Exactly. So that's how you have that. That's how you have those television shows where the mom is the out there and the populist, the disciplinary, all this other, and you have the father come in and says, okay, well, here's my paycheck, and that's it. Instead of taking an active role in the father. But I mean, as you see the future, like I said, I'm halfway to the point where I feel a little bit better, because I mean, we do have kids that are growing up now knowing, even growing up without a father, but if they have role models in their life, they'll know what a father is. But even growing up that way, they're going in the right way, and growing up in church, growing up with a biblical base, growing up knowing that this is my role, period. So, and then you got the other side, which I say, they can change it, and you can always do a 180. You can always come do a 180.
Definitely can do a 180.
So, I mean, what do you think, or what do you guys see the future of fatherhood is? I mean, like I said, it's just a little bit
It all depends on, you know, the father, the people that's babies having babies, and it all depends on when they grow up.
Yeah.
When they grow up and start taking care of responsibilities. For me, it took a while for me to, you know what I'm saying, understand what I needed to be doing. But the thing was I was hurt. I was running around hurt. You know what I'm saying? So and I feel like I was running around hurt, and I had bitterness in my heart, bitterness on my mind. I had a chip on my shoulder. So how am I supposed to be a productive citizen with bitterness in my heart? I can't be.
Yeah.
I seen that firsthand, and it was like every time I got a little bit of success, I would mess it up because I had no coping skills. You know what I mean? So a lot of these people is running around with no coping skills. And then you bring in the drug, which is self-medicating the problem instead of facing what it is that make you feel the way you do. And a lot of people and a lot of men do not know what emotion they are feeling. And they won't express. So instead of expressing sadness because it feels weak, we express anger.
Yeah.
We express anger. And then if the main thing, man, is dealing with the pain, dealing with the hurt, forgiving people that hurt you. I think if a person would, if the young people out there that's acting wild, if they would even give us the time of day to talk to them.
That's true.
Give us the time of day. Talk to us. Come talk to me. I bet you I could change your perspective on outlook on life. If we have, give me 10, 15 minutes, y'all. 10, 15 minutes of your time. Let me talk to you. Come to me. Talk to me, and I will peel you like an onion. And see, you know what I'm saying? And get to the center of what's the problem. Why are you hurting people? Because that's what we did. When I was hurt, man. That's why I hurt other people, man.
Yeah, hurt people hurt other people.
Yeah, and it all boils down to reconciliation with God. And so my hope is for the future is in, God alone. And with that said, I don't know what our future holds. I do know I have a certain sphere of influence, me and my husband, with our children and our children's friends, cousins, this kind of thing, nephews, nieces. And, we will do our best to share our values for that future. But other than that, I'm always praying for our future generations and our youth. So,
yeah. So I think, the future really boils down to is families need to get back to the basics, and the basic and the foundation is the Bible. Before, if any young person out there is thinking about that and they don't have a father or anything, get to a local church, a true believing Bible church. Seek out those men that are Bible based. And have that foundation.
And if anybody out there listening has questions on how do I find a Bible-based church, you can message us and we can help lead you to a Bible-based church in your area.
Yeah, we'll try to look it up for you and help you out. If you're in the Springfield location, we love for you to visit my church.
My church.
330 South Plum Street. 330 South Plum Street. But it's getting back to the Bible. It's getting back to the foundation. It's getting back to how God designed the family. I'm not saying each family has to be the Beavers or the Pleasant Fields or anything like that. But what I'm saying is that when you're having issues as a young man growing up, like I did, like Lorenzo did, and fathers were men, I would say fathers, men that was in our life portrayed something totally different than what the Bible is in. So that's what we walked after, that's what we looked after, and that's what we went after. So because of that, exactly. And because God came in my life at an early age, I was able to see what a godly family and what God has designed for a family and how it worked. And the other thing is that we look at today's society, even if you're not all with this God thing, how people say, oh God. Even if not, be a better man for you and your family. And how do you do that? You just be better at whatever you are lacking in. Now, if you ask me, I say you can't do that by yourself.
Right.
I thought I could do it by myself, but you can't.
Yep.
Nah, man. And we talked about that scripture today.
Exactly.
And that's what.
Friendship.
Ecclesiastics, man.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, the whole thing
Yep.
was talking about, but Ecclesiastes was
Yep.
talking about two is better than one, because when the
Iron
one
sharpens
falls,
iron.
when one falls, the other one picks the other one up.
Exactly.
And a lot of people want to do stuff on their own. I mean,
Yeah.
I was that person, man.
Yep.
Cause I had been hurt so much that I built these walls up, and I would only let a person get so close. And then when people start putting labels on stuff, that really drove me away. Do not put a label on me, because you're causing boundaries, and I feel like you're not going to.
You're paying me in the box.
Yeah, and I feel like you're not going to give me your all because
Right.
you put a label on something.
Right.
Nah, I'm cool on that, man. I mean, I was just plain out simple. I was hurt, man.
So we're going to conclude it right here. It's
Do we
actually
go to comments at all?
been
Ain't no comment.
I thought you said there was comments.
So
Oh,
we're
okay.
gonna
It was just people tuning in.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Shout
we're-
out to our wives. That's the two viewers that we got. Hey.
Hi, baby, love you. But no, well, we're gonna conclude it right here. But there are a lot of things that we can go. We just scratched the surface. I'll be honest. We just scratched the surface of this, and we are going to be kind of talking a little bit more down the line as we talk a little bit about other things, faith, family, and fiasco. As you can see, we have fun, but we're going to bring it back to the Bible, and we're always going to include family, and that's very, very important. So, but I would ask anybody out there, if we're going to repost this, we're going to post it on some other media sites. So stay tuned, and we will post on Facebook where we're posting these additional videos at. We're going to meet every other Sunday, and we're just going to talk about issues in your heart. And if you have any issues you would like for us to talk about, things that are going on publicly or whatever, how to deal with stuff, put it in our private box, and we'll Facebook us in our private box. We'll look at it. We'll pray for you. Put your name in and say, this is what we need prayer for. Or if you don't know how to get in touch with God, put that in there, and we will put you in the right. We would point you in the right direction. So, but this concludes. If you love this video, like this video, share this video with your friends, family, post it to your page, because we want to draw more people in. We want to draw a nice crowd, so we're getting God's word, but we're getting God's word out real. We're not preachy. As you can see, we don't know everything.
Very average.
Oh, we just
people.
got a heart. Yeah, baby.
I thought that was Tina.
But we don't know everything. But what we try to do is get it out there to people. We're gonna have a great time as we produce this longer and more. We're gonna invite people on. We're probably gonna even FaceTime some people in, and some prominent people too. That we're gonna have a whole list of things we're gonna do. But until then, my name is William.
And I'm Katie.
Renzo, aka Gospel Man.
Stay tuned for our next video. All right, I'll see you guys later.
Peace. God
Peace.
bless.
God bless.
Every time I get out, they wanna pull me back in. The street life is death, and I choose to live. How to make my choice, homie? The game is over. I choose Jesus Christ, now I'm a church boy soldier. Every time I get out, they wanna pull me back in. The street life is death, and I choose to live. How to make my choice, homie? The game is over. I choose Jesus Christ, now I'm a church boy soldier.